As Days of Our Lives begins as a quiet personal project soon turns into a storm of betrayal, confusion, and emotional reckoning. At the heart of this week's unfolding drama lies a single manuscript, One Stormy Night, a fictional tale rich in romantic detail and emotional vulnerability that Stephanie penned for her eyes alone. It was meant to remain a secret. But in Salem, secrets rarely stay buried. The discovery. A private story finds the wrong eyes. Stephanie had never intended for anyone to read One Stormy Night. The novel, written under the quiet comfort of solitude, was a personal escape, an outlet for thoughts and memories too delicate to speak aloud. She poured her emotions into the story, drawing heavily from her own life, including a once-deep romance with Philip Kiriakis. It was therapeutic, cathartic, and private. But fate, as ever in Salem, had other plans. One day, she left the printed copy behind in her apartment. Alex Kiriakis, her partner and someone she deeply trusts, stumbled upon the manuscript. Intrigued, he began to read, and what he found astonished him. A beautifully written, emotionally raw narrative filled with nuance and passion. He was deeply moved, and more than that, he saw potential. Believing he was acting out of love and support, Alex made a fateful decision. He took the manuscript to Kate Roberts Brady, his family's publishing magnate and newly reinstated head of Titan Publishing. He hoped she'd see the same brilliance in the story that he did. She did. But Alex did this without Stephanie's knowledge or consent. Kate's enthusiasm, a costly misstep. Kate, ever the visionary, saw One Stormy Night as a lifeline. Titan Publishing was on life support, and this manuscript appeared to be the miracle she needed. She began to craft a plan for a bold relaunch of the company, using the novel as its crown jewel. But then, a careless moment, Kate misplaced the manuscript during a hospital visit. It circulated briefly among staff members, including Stephanie's mother, Kayla. The buzz began to build. Word spread quickly. A compelling anonymous novel had surfaced, and it had the power to revive Titan's fortunes. Unaware of any brewing storm, Stephanie remained in the dark until it was too late. An accidental confession, and a web of deceit. Early in the week, Stephanie unknowingly steps into a trap. During a casual conversation with Kate, she references a specific detail from the manuscript, one that wasn't publicly known. Kate, ever sharp, freezes. Then she asks the devastating question, "Are you the author of One Stormy Night?" Stephanie's heart pounds. She had written that detail from memory, not knowing how easily it could out her. The very idea of her personal thoughts becoming public terrifies her, not just because of the romantic content, but because of the implications, the scrutiny, the judgment, the loss of control. In that terrifying moment, Alex interjects. With practiced calm, he explains that Stephanie had only read the manuscript after he gave it to her. Kate, reassured, at least temporarily, lets the matter rest. But the lie hangs heavy in the air. Stephanie's fears. More than just stage fright, Stephanie's reluctance to reveal herself is not vanity. It's rooted in deeply personal fears. The novel contains emotionally charged, romantic, and sensual content, scenes crafted from her own lived experience. The idea of strangers interpreting, judging, or exploiting those moments feels like an emotional invasion. The fictional elements echo her history with Philip, a man whose name alone still sparks curiosity and gossip in Salem. If readers connect the dots, her past could become public spectacle. Even if she uses a pseudonym, the core of her soul is embedded in the writing. To her, publication means exposure, and exposure means risk. She isn't afraid of failure. She's afraid of being misunderstood. Mounting pressure, Alex and Kate move forward. Though Alex's quick lie provides a temporary shield, it doesn't solve the real problem. Kate is moving full steam ahead. She believes One Stormy Night is the hit she's been waiting for. Her reputation and Titan's future are now tied to a book she believes is anonymous, but plans to elevate nonetheless. Kate praises the book to colleagues, begins light editorial work, and even floats the idea of a public reveal. Meanwhile, Alex finds himself in a tightening bind. He meant well, but he now realizes the depth of Stephanie's resistance. Does he tell Kate the truth and risk losing her support? And perhaps the deal entirely? Does he push Stephanie to consent, risking their relationship in the process? Or does he continue the deception, hoping things work out before they fall apart? No matter his choice, the fallout is inevitable. Emotional fallout. Trust on the brink. The emotional core of the storyline isn't the manuscript itself. It's the betrayal Stephanie feels. Alex crossed a line. He exposed her heart to the world, even if he didn't intend to. Their relationship, once rooted in mutual respect and love, begins to fray. Stephanie questions whether Alex sees her as a person or a product. Can he truly understand her need for boundaries, for creative privacy? Even worse, others are starting to notice. Kayla, having seen the manuscript at the hospital, wonders why Stephanie never told her. Kate's continued promotion of the book makes the secret harder to contain. Every compliment becomes another weight on Stephanie's chest. Next, blood, betrayal, and brotherhood. The turbulent saga of Philip Kiriakis and Xander Cook in Salem. Power comes at a price. And nowhere is that more evident than in the ever-twisting tale of Philip Kiriakis and Xander Cook, two men bound by blood but divided by legacy, pride, and the scars of betrayal. As Days of Our Lives continues to explore one of its most emotionally charged family sagas, older fans who've followed the Kiriakis family for decades are watching with renewed intensity. The rivalry between Philip and Xander has turned from business squabble to life-threatening feud, all under the storied roof of Titan Industries, a company founded by the late, formidable Victor Kiriakis. For longtime viewers, this story is more than a modern family drama. It's a multi-generational reckoning that asks timeless questions. Can forgiveness be earned after deep betrayal? Does family still matter when power is on the line? And is it ever truly possible to move on from violence, secrets, and years of mistrust? Let's take a deeper look at how the storm began and why it may be far from over. A secret son, a shattered legacy. It all began in late 2024 with a bombshell that rocked Salem's most powerful family. Xander Cook was revealed to be the secret son of Victor Kiriakis and Fiona Cook. Long treated as an outsider, a reckless, rough-edged, and never fully accepted, Xander suddenly found himself standing on equal footing with the Kiriakis' heir, Philip. Victor's will confirmed it. Xander wasn't just some distant cousin or a muscle for hire. He was blood, a true Kiriakis. And with that truth came a staggering claim: shared ownership of Titan Industries, the billion-dollar empire Victor built. For Philip, this was nothing short of betrayal from the grave. The son who had spent his life trying to live up to his father's name suddenly found his birthright halved, legally and symbolically. Xander's unexpected rise from black sheep to co-CEO created not just boardroom chaos, but personal turmoil. The stage was set for a bitter, often violent power struggle that would engulf the entire Kiriakis legacy. Brothers by blood, enemies by nature. Though the court mandated that Xander and Philip serve as co-OS of Titan, the ruling didn't fix what was broken. In fact, it deepened the rift. The two men could not be more different. Philip, the polished, well-educated heir, raised in privilege, expected loyalty and respect as his birthright. Xander, the survivor, the outsider, was molded by rejection and hardship. He fought his way up, often with his fists or a pistol in hand. Their forced partnership became a powder keg. It didn't take long before the simmering resentment exploded. In early 2025, during a particularly heated boardroom meeting at Titan headquarters, Xander, feeling undermined and betrayed, pulled a gun on Philip. For a moment, it seemed history might repeat itself in the most tragic of ways. But Philip, no stranger to danger, managed to disarm his brother before tragedy struck. The event left the entire family shaken, and Titan teetered on the edge of disaster. Yet, surprisingly, it wasn't the end. In the aftermath, there appeared, however briefly, a glimmer of reconciliation. A fragile peace built on painful truths. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Philip and Xander let down their guards. Conversations turned from threats to confessions. Childhood wounds, feelings of abandonment, and the longing for Victor's approval surfaced. For a brief time, it seemed the brothers might forge a new path, not as rivals, but as reluctant allies. They even managed to run Titan side by side without publicly feuding. But, as any longtime Days viewer knows, Peace in Salem rarely lasts. Lovers with secrets. Sarah and Stephanie hold the keys behind the scenes. Secrets began to fester. Ones that would soon tear apart whatever fragile trust had been built. Sarah Horton, Xander's wife, discovered that Philip had forged a letter supposedly written by Victor before his death. This forged letter, never intended to see the light of day, had falsely reinforced Philip's authority over Titan, helping him secure control when Victor's actual will suggested otherwise. Rather than expose the truth immediately, Sarah chose silence. Perhaps out of fear, or perhaps to protect the delicate peace between her husband and his brother, she kept the lie hidden. On the other side of the equation, Stephanie Johnson, Philip's lover, was growing increasingly entangled in the rivalry caught between loyalty to Philip and her own ethics. Both women carried emotional burdens that would soon explode. Betrayal turns violent, the hotel room confrontation when Xander learned the truth about the forged letter and Sarah's silence. It wasn't just disappointment he felt. It was betrayal. Not just by his brother, but by his wife. The one person he thought would always be in his corner. His response was instant, raw, and violent. In a scene that stunned fans, Xander confronted Philip in a hotel room, rage boiling over. What began as a confrontation quickly turned into an all-out assault. By the end of it, Philip was badly beaten and hospitalized, and the Kiriakis family faced yet another scandal. And yet, it didn't end there. In a chilling moment, Xander later entered Philip's hospital room. This time carrying a pillow. The implication was clear. He might finish what he started. Thankfully, no further violence occurred. But the damage, emotional and psychological, was already done. A truce or a ticking time bomb. After weeks of tension, a surprising resolution emerged. Xander, perhaps feeling remorse or simply calculating the risks, offered a truce. He would remain silent about Philip's forged letter if Philip agreed not to press charges over the attack. Philip, still healing but ever the strategist, accepted. Both men agreed to protect one another for now. To outsiders, it seemed like a step toward healing. But for those who know the Kiriakis' legacy, it's clear this is a truce born of necessity, not forgiveness. It's a ceasefire, not peace. A story that resonates across generations. For older viewers, the Philip Xander storyline hits close to home, not because of its corporate intrigue, but because of its emotional truth. Family rivalries that never quite heal. Secrets that fester over time and erupt at the worst possible moments. The struggle between legacy and individuality. These themes have long defined days of our lives, and this story brings them roaring back with a modern edge. In an era of quick fixes and public apologies, this saga reminds us that some wounds don't fade quickly. That family can be both a blessing and a curse. And that sometimes survival means choosing the lesser evil. What happens next? Though they've made a deal to protect each other, the truth is this. Philip and Xander's rivalry is far from over. Will someone else discover the forged letter? Will Sarah's silence come back to haunt her marriage? Can Titan survive another round of family warfare? Only time will tell. But in Salem, peace is always temporary, and secrets have a habit of rising to the surface. Final thoughts. Brotherhood or battlefield? The tale of Philip and Xander is no longer just about Titan. It's about what it means to be family in a world where power, trust, and survival are constantly at odds. Their story is a slow-burning tragedy wrapped in boardroom suits and bloodlines. One moment of weakness, one lie told too long, could bring everything crashing down again. For now, they've chosen silence. But silence, as fans know all too well, is never the end. It's only the pause before the next storm. Let us know your thoughts. Can these brothers ever find true peace, or is another reckoning on the horizon?